Attempt to share my screen. Sometimes it works more smoothly than others. Okay. Oops. There we go. Are you guys able to see the Welcome to Healthy Blue website? Perfect. All right. Thank you so much for that introduction. So, Healthy Blue Nebraska is one of the 3 Medicaid health plans for the state under Heritage Health. Heritage Health went live January 1st, 2017. And what that did is it combined the physical health, behavioral health, and pharmacy under one roof statewide. So, of the 3 plans, when somebody applies for Medicaid, the state will auto enroll them based on an algorithm that they use, unless that member chooses. And they do have 90 days to choose their health plan, which is also something that was brand new to our Nebraska eligible Medicaid members. So, Healthy Blue formerly was WellCare. All of our systems are brand new. So I appreciate your guys' patience with me. I don't have a presentation that has been approved by the state yet. So I thought what I would do is show you our website. And this is one of the great tools that our members can use and that you can also use if you're working with our members to help navigate.
Hello.
Hello. Thanks for joining. Okay, so the first thing that I just wanted to give a full disclosure on is that when you're working with new systems, there tends to be hiccups and there tends to be things that have to be submitted very early with the state for us that we work some of the kinks out later. So I'm going to point out some changes that will be occurring on the website and that we're in the process of educating our members on. So first, what I would like to do is just show you, if they go to the healthybluene.com website, this is what they're going to see. And under benefits, and that's really what my team focuses on. I do support a field team. They go to health fairs. We do virtual baby showers. We do food events. We are out there in the community and we're always looking for partners. But we're really there to help educate our members and to really expand their health literacy specific to their insurance. So if we go ahead and click on this Healthy Blue benefit, this is going to show all of the Medicaid benefits available to our members. So a couple of things that I just want to point out really quickly is there's the Find the Doctor tool. So they're able to put in a zip code. If they're looking for a new doctor or just need to, you know, find the contact information for their doctor, they can find that there. If they want to change their primary care doctor, they would click here and they're able to put in that request so that it reflects on their card who their doctor is. So what you get with Healthy Blue, all doctor visits, prescriptions, and vision care. Again, it's just kind of all under that one roof. I'm not going to click through all of these, but if you go through and you have any questions, I will make sure that my information is in the chat box before I jump off this call so that you guys can reach out directly to me. Transportation services for Nebraska Healthy Blue members is going to be IntelliRide. So they will need to contact IntelliRide, and this is going to be for all non-emergency medical appointments. There's also a great place right here where we direct our moms and healthy pregnancy benefits can all be found in here, and then also women's health. Healthy Blue also offers care and disease case management. And so this is going to be for some of our higher risk members that maybe need some help navigating the systems. Maybe they just need help identifying medications. They have more complex health. We can accept referrals on any of our members and they will be reached out to. So You can call customer service if you're working directly with a member, or you can contact me as well, and I can get that referral over to them. All right, this next one is our healthy rewards. There are some edits that have to be made in this section, but what I want to share is that Healthy Blue rewards our members for attending certain health appointments. And so I will show you how they can verify those appointments in just a moment. And then these are our extra benefits. So this is Healthy Blue's way of encouraging our members to participate in their health even outside of those clinics. So we want to provide opportunities. So we have, for example, some healthy pregnancy rewards. If moms are attending those appointments, they can be eligible for diapers, um, different gift card amounts, and also they can choose between a stroller, portable pack and play, car seat, or diapers for just going to that initial appointment. So that could be within 74 days of being on the Healthy Blue plan or within their first trimester. And again, I mentioned that we partner with different community organizations to host community baby showers to really just help get education to our moms. And currently we've been doing those virtually. So that's been a fun and unique way to kind of bring people together again. Although I'm sure everyone on the call is ready to get back in person. Active healthy lifestyle, we offer Weight Watcher memberships. We have Boys and Girl Scouts 4-H club memberships. We also offer swim lessons to our qualified members. Um, and then another one that I really want to point out is hyperallergenic bedding, and that's going to be for our asthma members. And then this one, I would also like to point out that this has changed for Healthy Blue. And so this will be updated to our website. And currently when members log in, they will be able to see that they are going to choose from a healthy bundle, and then they'll have different categories that they can choose from. So there might be an exercise bundle, a hygiene bundle. So there's just different options for them to see there. And then we also want our members to be investing in their futures. So we offer GED programs. We do pay for the test. We also have a Jumpstart training program, and that's going to help get them ready to take that test. We also offer dorm room supplies for our foster care youth, and then also school supplies for all of our members heading to college. And then last, we offer a $25 Barnes & Noble gift card for our members 4 through 12 to really encourage reading, especially during those summer months. We'll really be promoting that. Transportation, we offer bus passes in Omaha and Lincoln currently. And then members can also request a gas card or an Uber card once every quarter. So unfortunately, we were told just this week that Lyft no longer does business-to-business transactions. So we won't be allowed to distribute those gift cards. And this was also a typo on the Lyft and Uber. That will also reflect $25 when the members log in, if Uber is what they choose. And then right here, it just talks about copays for our members. So if that is something that they need to review, that can be found there. I'm going to scroll back up to the very top of the page. And one thing that I want to point out is right here is our member login. And once they log in, or we'll click there first, I apologize. This will allow them to register or to sign in if they've already set it up. Healthy Blue also has a mobile app that can be downloaded for free. And if they choose to register on the mobile app, it'll be the same username and password for the portal and vice versa. So both great opportunities to change their primary care doctors. They'll have access to all of those rewards I just showed you. And one of the nice things is that once a member logs in, it will clearly show what they're eligible for. And I'm going to provide some information to Ann to distribute out to you guys. We do have 4 welcome rooms across the state, soon to be 5. Currently, we have one in Kearney, one in Scotts Bluff, one in Norfolk, and one in South Omaha. And members or the community can walk in Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, ask any questions, get help logging in, um, truly anything. We're there to help those members. We also have people that walk in that maybe aren't Healthy Blue members that just need information on how to access Medicaid. And so we do have kiosks that we can help log them into Access Nebraska. But after that point, we are not able to help them in any way because we wouldn't want to influence which plan they decided to choose. But there are computers and phones that they have access to use that we can help support them in getting the process going. We also open up those 4 community rooms to our community partners. We have currently support groups going on in those rooms. We've had board meetings. We've had other groups that have been able to utilize the room. I'll send out those phone numbers, and then we just ask that you call in and see if the dates that you're looking for are available. But it does have a nice size conference room that can be that has full technology support to link to the other rooms or for like a Zoom call like this. So if you wanted to link multiple locations, and then it also has a larger just gathering area that we could utilize as well. The last thing that I would like to show you guys under this Get Help tab is our local services. So Healthy Blue has a community resource link, and it's powered by Aunt Bertha. And so you'll find this page, and I'll also send out the direct link. I have found it really helpful that if you are looking for community resources or just to have it handy, just to save it in your favorites on your bar. So I'm just going to go ahead and type in a Lincoln zip code just to show you guys what that will look like. And so here you can search for a keyword or program. You can also highlight over the different categories, and then it's broken down even further. One thing that I really appreciate about this site, and now I don't know why it's not popping up. Okay. I'm going to send you guys out the link and I'll put a little note in there. But when you use the link directly from what I'll send you, you can scroll to the bottom and change the languages. And so that was one thing that I really liked is there's over 50 different languages. So if you're working with someone and you want to give them a resource, you would be able to print that out in the language that would be most helpful to them. And then we'll just pop back over here. Do you guys have any questions for me? That was kind of a quick overview, but I think that the portal does a good job of just really showcasing what we have. And then once those members, if we can help get them logged in, we also have a health risk assessment that we are really working with to get our adult population. And that's one more thing I'll add, I apologize. So October 2020, Heritage Health launched their adult. So they refer to it usually as HHA, so Heritage Health Adult. And that is going to be for Nebraskans 19 to 64. So that age group that typically didn't qualify for Medicaid previously unless they had a disability or received SSI. So for that population, we're really working on with them to get that health risk assessment done so that we can better help care for them. And then that will tie into a tiered program that the state has developed as far as basic and prime plans for them. depending on what plan they're on, the prime do get more eligibility.
Feel free to ask any questions or drop them in the chat box. I know this was a lot of great information. You know, Jennifer, this website seems so intuitive that looks like it's going to be super easy to navigate for consumers, or as any of our nonprofit members maybe help their clients get access to this.
Yeah, I'm really happy with it. I love all of the information. I would also encourage that Healthy Blue mobile app, if they just search for Healthy Blue. Sometimes people just prefer to have it on their phone versus going to a website, and that tool will do everything that the portal does. There's also some activity links that if they have any like exercise things, it will help link to that as well. And they'll also be able to see their care plan if they're working with one of our care managers. It syncs to both their member portal and that Healthy Blue app.
Great, thank you. You know, I'm not seeing any questions, but if people think of any, feel free to shoot them to me and I can forward them to Jennifer and connect you. And then the links that Jennifer sends to me, I will share with the entire HR listserv. So with that, thank you very much. I appreciate you
Thank
joining
you.
today. This is really exciting stuff. It's just amazing how some days I feel like technology has advanced 10 years in less than one. Or maybe that's just COVID times. I don't know. So with that, let's transition. Wendy, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Hi, nice to see you all today. I'm Wendy Goldberg. I'm the Executive Director of TriFaith. And just a quick, what is TriFaith? For those maybe who are not aware, in 2006, we made an intention to co-locate a church, a mosque, and a synagogue with an interfaith center at 132nd and Pacific Street. And 15 years later, we completed that mission this year with the opening of the TriFaith Center. And in doing so, we have realized that we needed to restate our mission, because our mission was to co-locate. And so our new mission, now that we've completed that, is inspired by Jewish, Christian, and Muslim faith. We cultivate inclusive environments to advance interfaith relationship and understanding. And towards that goal, we realize that there's an opportunity for us to be a thought leader around including the topic of religion or spiritual wellness in the workplace. And so I'm excited for you today to meet Jeremy Fricke, our education director, who's going to talk through how a holiday observance and being mindful of holidays across different spectrum of religious understanding might be a good DE&I strategy for you. If I could also introduce Eric Surveillon, who's on our call. He's our deputy director. Many of you probably know him because he's out there serving the community and has a very public presence. So I'm glad he's here. We're both here to cheer Jeremy on and to meet you. Please know if you have questions that all three of us are available. If you want to think about inviting this conversation in your workplace, we realize there's not one model fits all. And if you even just want to explore what this might mean in intersection with your mission, please reach our direction. We'd love to be a resource for you. So Jeremy.
Hi there, everybody. Yes, we are going to talk a little bit about religion today. But I first want to talk a little bit about how religion interacts with kind of Nebraska in particular, and how it interacts with some of the other conversations around diversity and inclusion and even human resources. So firstly, I'm going to show you a couple of charts here. This is from the Public Religion Research Institute. And we find over and over again that the workplace is actually a place where people have significant interactions and relationships with people who are different from them. There is such an opportunity because of that if we don't have enough focus on improving those relationships in the workplace, we're not going to make a huge impact on society. So I just want to point out here that when we look at, in my workplace, we have people from Nebraska. This is a study from all over Nebraska. 59% say that they frequently interact with someone from a different religious background. That's actually very similar across the country. Surprisingly enough, Nebraska's responses to these kinds of questions are very similar across the nation. So it's also important to mention here that the workplace has a particular ability to provide positive relationships. We're not just talking about interactions with someone is different from you, but there's something about the workplace that has an even higher ability to cause a more positive interaction. That specific reason of why is not done, but I think a lot of us know that we tend to bond well with those we work together with. Also, this is talking about those frequency of interactions, and still, 2/3 of people, a higher number than I think most people imagine, would say that they interact with someone with a different religious background every week. And again, I think a lot of that is at work. But we also have, so we've talked about how these relationships are positive in the workplace. There are significant numbers of interactions, but less than half are saying that workplaces are doing enough to bring people together. So there's clearly a disconnect to some extent with the positive interactions that employees have and the expectations of HR and management and D&I professionals when it comes to this. So we need to do something about it. Now we're going to be talking about a few different things today, but when Tri-Faith Initiative saw this kind of information, it seems so important to make sure that we address interreligious relations and including intersectionality, including race and other forms of identity, but focusing on that religion piece as it's often overlooked. And we came up with a project that we call Religious Other Inclusion, ROI. Of course, it's a it's a beautiful pun there. But ROI focuses on really three main areas. We've got legal issues, which is usually kind of, some people don't know all the needs just from that very baseline legal concerns about, what do I accommodate? What am I allowed to decline? Things like that. And then we have inclusion strategy, which is kind of what I would consider sort of the next step after, making sure that you're doing the bare minimum. We want you to move further on so that people can bring their whole selves to the workplace. And as we know, when people can bring their whole selves to work, they become more creative, there's less turnover, and often they actually have better teamwork because they feel more connected with the people around them. And then the third area is religious literacy for professionals. So this is kind of like, there's so much information out there, and I'm going to address that here in a second, but the religious literacy for professionals is really designed to kind of get, again, the sort of more baseline content about religion so that people feel comfortable having discussions about these things in a professional way, in a way that can make people of different backgrounds feel comfortable. And also we have a variety of people who provide their expertise from a whole bunch of different backgrounds, human resources, legal, D&I, religious studies. We have a lot of people involved with this conversation. So we have a lot of perspectives that are kind of brought together to make sure that it addresses the needs of all the concerns with religion in the workplace. Now, we're not talking about promoting religion in the workplace. We're talking about what we call religious pluralism, which is the idea that everyone's religious beliefs, worldviews are valid. And this includes everybody who does not have a religious belief or identity. That their existence is valid, their worldviews are valid, and that we really want people to feel like they can be their whole selves. This is something that is true for both society and the workplace and schools. We want the world to be a place where people can be themselves. So I'm going to ask a few questions, and you can feel free to respond if you feel comfortable, in the chat or verbally, either way. And I'm trying to get a little bit of a feel for who's in the room. Do you celebrate any religious holidays during the year? And if so, if you want to mention any, again, not required to respond to the question, but it would benefit the discussion. All right, so some Christian holidays. Easter, Christmas, yes. All right. All right. So I'm seeing a lot of Christian holidays, and that's wonderful. I mean, that's not too surprising. Christianity is the largest, and it's also kind of related to some of the secular holidays in the United States. Do you have any friends or colleagues that celebrate a different holiday? And do you know the name of one? I'm going to ask you one more question after this one too, so be prepared. Does anyone have a friend? All right, let's see. All right, some Jewish holidays, some Muslim holidays. All right. Yeah. And I see that a few people can't remember the names of those holidays. So it's important to note here that in any conversation, we have certain experiences that are valuable and valid, but we may have some blind spots. And just for the ability to help people to bring their whole selves to work, it's good to be conscious of that. And then the last question is, what holidays are acknowledged in some way in your workplace? Whether it's a standard day off or whether it's some kind of, email or party. Those are some of the more common options. All right, let's see. Okay, so Thanksgiving, 4th of July, Memorial Day, Christmas, Labor Day, New Year's, Christmas, and then floating holidays. All right, so we noticed that for whatever reason, and it can be a lot of reasons, and we'll talk about them. A lot of the holidays that are acknowledged are Christian or secular holidays. Or there is a clear opportunity to be able to celebrate your holidays with the floating holidays or PTO. So in many workplaces, and this is something that comes up all the time, religious diversity is really only discussed around December. So we have, a couple months before, maybe not even that. Most organizations start planning some kind of Christmas party or a break that that sits around Christmas, and really there's often a little bit of guilt around it, and sometimes people try to figure out, how do we include others in this celebration? Maybe thinking about like December holidays or something along those lines. Now, I'm not I'll get to what I'm going to suggest with this, but I think we should be thinking bigger. Think of religious diversity and holidays as something that we should be aware of throughout the year. Religion really has an effect on people's lives in so many ways, and I'm just going to talk about some of the professional ways that it does. Firstly, we have meaning making, which is probably the most one of the most common, regardless of religious background. It's probably the thing that is overlooked, but very common. When there's a success or a drawback or something happens, often people do look through their worldviews at that situation. Sometimes they are highly thankful toward a deity, or maybe they need to look at loss in a more religious way. And those things can affect their everyday lives. We also have some of those commonly known HR type questions like diet. Do people fast or have a diet restriction? Groom and dress. Is there a head covering or possibly an expectation to wear hair a certain way? Space, commonly needed for quite a few religious observances that are found throughout the day. Prayer is one, meditation is another. Gathering and social expectations. Do employees have an opportunity to go to others in a in some kind of manner to be able to gather with somewhat like-minded people? Or are your social expectations culturally sensitive and culturally competent? For example, although it may be easier in some ways now, handshaking, right? Handshaking in particular has a lot of cultural connotations in America, but with religious diversity, racial diversity, diversity of national origin, those social expectations can be very different. And then finally, and this is what we're going to talk mostly about today, is holidays and time. The need for people to have the time and space to be able to observe those various holidays or celebrations. And this is something that you can feel free to respond to the chat. Does your organization have a winter holiday party? What do you call it? What holidays are represented? And I'll just keep going, but I would love to hear what your response is in the chat. Most of the time, we see a somewhat secularized Christmas party called a holiday party. And there's kind of there's a dual problem that ends up happening where you tend to bother to some extent Christians for avoiding the holiday by renaming the holiday, or obviously Christmas tree and Christmas lights and all these other things, just calling them something different doesn't change what they are. And then on the other end, often not recognizing other people's holidays, so you end up kind of making fewer people happy, to be honest. I think a lot of the time our suggestion is to think about, if we're thinking about it more as something that should be done throughout the year, then these holidays can be a wonderful opportunity to encourage an understanding of religious and ethnic diversity throughout the year. So couple other things before we kind of get into content. Religious inclusion is not so much about memorizing all these things. Okay, I think that this is a particular issue when we talk about religion in the workplace. People think that they need to memorize, exactly when Passover is, or they need to know the exact name of this practice. It's really not about that. It's about really knowing enough to be able to ask yourself and others questions in professional, in respectful ways, to be able to find those answers. Very few people expect you to memorize everything. In fact, people of those religious traditions often don't have those dates memorized either. So that it's really about cultivating that mindset, and I hope that you see some of that throughout the rest of the presentation. And then the other point that I want to make is that not all holidays are celebrated. Some are more observed. I think that one of the more easy to understand examples is Yom HaShoah, which is the Holocaust Remembrance Day in Judaism. It's not a happy holiday. It's a religious observance that it's not observed by everybody, but if someone does observe it, it's not like happy holidays to those folks. So I'm going to go through Judaism, Christianity, and Islam a little bit, not because they're the most important or anything, but because they tend to be the largest communities. And I hope that some of the ideas behind them help you to think about what are the questions that I need to be able to ask myself about other communities as well. So many of us know a lot about Christianity. Many of the holidays, except for Easter, are pretty much set on certain days of the year, or at least the major holidays are. Christmas is always on December 25th for anyone outside of Eastern Orthodoxy. And there are a variety of minor holidays as well. Not too long ago was Ash Wednesday, but Christmas and Easter are core to the vast majority of Christians. I think it's important to recognize that we kind of automatically go to Christianity as the default and assume that any changes are sort of exceptions, right? Most of the time we have Christmas off in most workplaces and schools. Most of the time we have Easter off in most workplaces and schools. That's something that should not, I think that's great. It's very important for people to be able to celebrate their religious traditions regardless of their background. I think it's just important to note that this is something that many Christians just kind of get, without even thinking about it. And then also remembering that Sundays, which is the most common Sabbath for Christians, is also off for most folks. Obviously, many are still expected to work, but I think quite a few of the organizations represented here already have those Sundays off. And then one thing I also want to kind of point out as we go is that every religious tradition or person might need something a little different. And that's okay. We need to be thinking about diversity and inclusion at that smaller level, that there isn't always a one-size-fits-all approach. There's a significant amount of important holidays in Judaism that many folks would love to be able to celebrate when it comes around. Passover, many people know a little bit about, especially those first and last days, because it's about a week long. Rosh Hashanah, which is the Jewish New Year, Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, and Sukkot. Those three are all part of the high holy days that end up sitting around fall. And then Shabbat, which is the Sabbath for Jewish folks, Friday evening to Saturday evening. So again, while I will say Friday evening and Saturday to Saturday evening are often off, maybe a little less often than Sundays, but still fairly easy to get off here. Another thing to point out, and this is true for many religious holidays, that there is often a different calendar where the holiday is stationed. Instead, so the Gregorian calendar that's used in the United States, that's what they call it with the January to December, that is basically a Christian calendar. So the holidays often, are basically on the same days every year. In Judaism and in Islam, which I'll talk about in a moment, the calendars are different. Jewish holidays tend to land kind of in the same season, but not necessarily on the same day. Often there's about a month or month and a half range that it could be landing in. And then we have Islam, which has really two major holidays that I don't know any Muslim folks that don't celebrate Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha, with Ramadan also. So Ramadan is about a month. This year it's going to be landing in about, I believe it's in April. But it moves a little bit every year, and all Islamic holidays move about 10 days back every year. So it can be any time of the year, basically. That's because it's a lunar calendar. It's not based off the sun cycles. So it moves a little bit all the time. But in the Islamic calendar, it doesn't move, right? It's a different way of thinking about time. Ramadan, many of you may know, but Ramadan is a time where most Muslims fast or don't eat or drink from sunrise to sunset. And then at the end, there's a celebration kind of Ramadan, which is called Eid al-Fitr. And I think a lot of people will describe it a little bit like sort of the Christmas of Muslims. That's not the right way to describe it, but there's often gift giving, there's community celebrations. It's kind of the big thing, and it's often designed for kids, a lot of carnival rides and things like that. Eid al-Adha is a little more serious, but it's a celebration of basically the things that God has provided in Islam. And then finally, congregational prayer. We talked about how the Christian Sabbath is on Sunday, the Jewish Sabbath is on Friday evening to Saturday evening. The closest thing in Islam is the Friday afternoon congregational prayer. So it's very important, and in most Muslim majority countries, that time is pretty much off. It's the ideal time to have congregational prayer. This is often a very difficult thing for Muslims to get off, and often, many Muslim communities have just kind of assumed that they're not going to be able to. It would be really ideal if there's an opportunity to at least shift hours around to be able to accommodate things like that. And, thinking about things like, do you have a bunch of Friday meetings, right? Especially afternoon meetings. Are you planning a pizza party during Ramadan and that you have a couple of employees that practice it? Think about the ways that maybe we can just shift it around a little bit and everyone can feel included. See a chat here. At what time does Friday congregational prayer take place? Someone asked. It changes a little bit. It's sort of like the midday prayer. It's usually middle afternoon. It can range a little bit because it depends on the time of year. So you can definitely look up when is Friday Juma prayer. in Omaha, because it, like I said, it's based off exactly where the sun is. So so that time can change a little bit, but it's Friday afternoons. And often, it doesn't last any longer than like a church service would be, or a Shabbat service would be. So I want to kind of culminate some of our suggestions, and I'm going to ask for some questions also in just a couple of minutes, but we suggest, firstly, don't get stuck in winter. Be thinking a little bit about holidays throughout the year. I understand that it's a lot to take in, but you probably have a good idea of the diversity of your organization, and not just that, but the diversity you hope to have in your organization, and the diversity of your stakeholders. So think about how this might be an opportunity to really invite people in. Number two is that secularizing doesn't automatically make something inclusive. I think every D&I person that has anything to do with religion has a little bit different attitude about this, but I think Tri-Faith has learned through kind of this congregational partnership that it's better to just let people have their thing. Generally, if you have an organization, that it would be ideal to just realize that that these holidays come from certain roots, and really intend to bring other traditions in throughout the year. Learn about them, have folks that are interested in educating your workplace about them, talk about it, things like that. Focus on being employee-centered or customer-centered. Again, it depends a little bit on your organization. D&I and in particular religion really depends on a lot of things with your organization. And I want you to know, like Wendy said earlier, that we're happy to have any conversations with you about what that might look like for yours. And to know that every workplace culture is different. Like I've mentioned, it's not even just the stakeholders and the employees, but also, every industry. And there is some level of workplace culture that many people want to keep, but there is an opportunity to expand that culture to be more inclusive of more people. So just to do a little conversation about what we can provide, we have workplace training opportunities on those topics mentioned earlier: legal issues, inclusion strategy, religious literacy. We also can provide personalized consulting. We're also in the process of creating a variety of resources, and actually one that I'll show really quick if we have time. And then finally, we're going to be releasing a podcast on religion in the workplace over a variety of topics, people from different fields and different interests, talking about how this can be understood. How much time do we have?
We got almost 5 minutes left.
Okay. So I'll just show you this calendar really quick, and I would like to also invite any questions. Are you able to see this calendar here? Okay, so I'll be asking for this to be sent out with the recap email. This is just for Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Again, I hope that you see this and think about the other communities that your organization might interact with as well. But this will be a good place to start. It's a very simple thing. It's really just the dates, some very basic expectations of accommodations, and like a brief history behind it. There's a lot of ways to start this, and again, we'd be happy to have conversations with you about it. But you'll receive this in the recap email, I believe. All right, so I would love to take any questions you have. I really appreciate having the opportunity to speak with all of you today.
So as we're waiting for people to drop their questions in the chat box, or again, if you think of anything after we've all gone on to our next Zoom meeting, just shoot me an email and I can forward it to Jeremy. I think this is such a timely conversation. We're all kind of wrestling with, I alluded to earlier, we're redoing our employee handbook and just looking at it. And why do we have the holidays we have? I know historically, because we surveyed probably 10 years ago, what holidays do people have off? And we found that so many people close at noon on Good Friday. Well, in Omaha, that's not surprising. Is that something we want to revisit and maybe kind of think our thought processes through again?
Right. And